Under the CARICOM umbrella, regional security is one of the pillars of the organization in which much strides have been made. CARICOM's Secretary General Erwin Larac spoke of a few aspects when it comes to regional security and efforts being made to address the problems.
There are treaty arrangements among member states for sharing of information, so that our intelligence community, what we call intelligence community, our police and our defense forces coordinate. They're in regular contact with each other to share information. And this is very important because of the free movement part of what we have, not only among us, but persons coming into our community as well. And you need to know if persons of interest are coming in. Security is a major concern for us, crime and security. Of course, we see a proliferation of small arms into our community. In all our member states, the issue of gang violence is there, it's prominent. We don't produce not one gun in our community, yet these things are coming in. And we agitated for many years for an arms trade treaty at the UN. The CARICOM community led the fight, and we were successful in getting a treaty. Not the kind of treaty we really wanted, but a treaty nonetheless that we can build on. And we're also doing work on gang violence at the social level, where we've had workshops here in Belize and in other member states with gangs. You meet with the gangs, or you meet with youth, what you call youth on the margin, right, to determine how you can, prevent them from going into gangs, or you can persuade them out of gangs. And once you do that, what else do you get them to do? Because the gangs provide some sort of social network, regrettably, for those persons in the margin. So again, targeting the youth on the margin, but on the other side, looking at law enforcement is another area that we're focusing on. It will be an issue on the agenda at Intersessional in February.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the major issues we'll be looking at.
The other three pillars of CARICOM are foreign policy coordination, economic integration, and functional cooperation. One of the key aspects of CARICOM is the ease by which countries should be able to import and export goods from the member states. Secretary General Larac says that overall the progress on this has been good.
We're making progress. I think we're doing very, very well on trading goods. Notwithstanding, I understand since I arrived in Belize, there may be an issue here with a particular shipment of a particular commodity. But I think we're doing fairly well in that. And I think we're making progress on the services sector. But I think we need to make a little faster progress. He's here who's exporting, who was previously only exporting to North America, now exporting to Trinidad and Tobago, a lucrative market in other Caribbean. So I think we're making progress there. But
while trade is making significant progress, Larac says they are facing challenges in the area of transportation, particularly air transportation.
In terms of movement of people, in terms of the airlines, I think that is a problem, I have to admit. And what are the answers? We've tried everything. We still have to keep working together. The most recent thing that we've done, we've got the airlines to come together to talk. We found out that in our region, you have a number of domestic airlines. You have Caribbean Airlines, you have Suriname Airways, you have Liat, Bahamas Air, and they were not talking to each other. And we call all the chief executive officers, and in some instances the chairman of the board, to a meeting. I summoned them to a meeting in the Secretariat. It was the most amazing thing. And we facilitated the discussion and said, you must start talking to each other to see how you could, for instance, your scheduling. What can you do about your scheduling so that when you arrive in one territory to connect, you don't have to wait 4 and 5 hours? What can you do about your booking engines? What they call the booking engines. You make a reservation, but to make another reservation at the airline, you have to do a separate one. Why can't you do one? Right. And that sort of thing. And they began to talk. And we're hoping to do another one of those soon. The problem with transportation, the model of air transport in our region is high cost because you're doing short hops mostly. So it's always cheaper per mile to come into the region from a long haul than it is to hop. And it is prohibitive in terms of cost. And you can't build a community if people can't move in an affordable way, that is. So it's something that we continue to work on, but I cannot yet report progress other than the fact that we are bringing the people together, we're talking and we're looking at it.
Larac stressed the importance in having collaboration in all sectors in an effort to enhance the economic opportunities of member states. During a discussion yesterday with CARICOM's Secretary General Erwin Larac, the Dominican national spoke on the Caribbean Court of Justice, expressing pride in the Caribbean having its own final appellate court, while speaking of other countries that are in the process of coming on board.
I'm very proud the fact that we've been able as a community to have our own court, a final appellate court, which is a signal of your political maturity as a nation. You don't have your court if you have others outside determining your justice for you and your jurisprudence. You're lacking something in your nationalism and Belize, of course, was one of the first three. We now have four. Oh. We have Belize as Guyana, Barbados, and Dominica joined last year. I believe there are about 2 or 3 others who are working assiduously to join. I'm hoping it can happen before the end of the year. I know Grenada, St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda have all signaled their intention to go in that direction. Different countries have different constitutional arrangements, so it's differing ways of doing it. So I'm hopeful that before the year is up, and as Prime Minister said, that there will be 1 or 2 others who are joining to complete the circle of our independence and our nationalism.
The Caribbean Court of Justice was established in 2001 and is located in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. The Caribbean Court of Justice replaces the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council for both civil and criminal matters. Belize joined Dominica, Barbados, and Guyana in 2015, making the CCJ its final appellate court. Earlier, we told you of the reforms that the Secretary General for CARICOM spoke of as it relates to the Caribbean community. Aside from that being a crucial undertaking that began in 2015, Erwin Larocque also spoke of the COP21 conference on climate change that took part in Paris, France in the latter of 2015.
Having arrived in Paris and seeing where we were and where we arrived at the end of 2 weeks, I think we did very, very well. And when you consider that it was a negotiation of about 194, 95 countries, where everybody's looking for a piece of what they want. And I think we came out with some very critical issues. The issue of recognizing that 1.5 degrees Celsius is a damaging, it's a long-term goal for us to arrive at, because climate change is here. It's not coming. We know it's here in the Caribbean. That is a critical issue for us. Financing, recognition of small island developing states, and low-lying coastal states, of which Belize and Suriname and Guyana. And I think that's a major highlight. And what we're looking forward to, and my discussion yesterday with Dr. Leslie, we're planning a meeting right here in Belize next month in February to take stock of what has transpired and to plan on how we're going to derive the benefits from this agreement. Because there's an agreement, but you have to derive benefits from it. You have to, you have to ready yourself. There's a lot of resources out there. You have to be able to tap into the resources for various aspects of your development as it pertains to climate change. And that's what we're going to be focusing on and working with Dr. Leslie and others in the coming weeks.
A meeting is being planned which will take place in February in Belize to further discuss how CARICOM countries will benefit from the COP21 agreement.
Having arrived in Paris and seeing where we were and where we arrived at the end of 2 weeks, I think we did very, very well. And when you consider that it was a negotiation of about 194, 95 countries, where everybody's looking for a piece of what they want. And I think we came out with some very critical issues. The issue of recognizing that 1.5 degrees Celsius is a damaging, it's a long-term goal for us to arrive at, because climate change is here. It's not coming. We know it's here in the Caribbean. That is a critical issue for us. Financing, recognition of small island developing states, and low-lying coastal states, of which Belize and Suriname and Guyana. And I think that's a major highlight. And what we're looking forward to, and my discussion yesterday with Dr. Leslie, we're planning a meeting right here in Belize next month in February to take stock of what has transpired and to plan on how we're going to derive the benefits from this agreement. Because there's an agreement, but you have to derive benefits from it. You have to, you have to ready yourself. There's a lot of resources out there. You have to be able to tap into the resources for various aspects of your development as it pertains to climate change. And that's what we're going to be focusing on and working with Dr. Leslie and others in the coming weeks.
The COP21 conference, which was held from November 30th to December 12th, was held as a part of an annual event with the objective to achieve, for the very first time, a binding and universal accord on climate change from all nations around the globe. The accord or agreement was accepted at the conference, but will only become legally binding if joined by at least 55 other countries. The representatives from those countries will be given an opportunity to sign on to the agreement in New York, USA, between April 22, 2016 and April 21, 2017.